Hello there, I'm E.T. Templar, Supreme Misfit, Professional Dipshit, and you have a question, and that question is, what is the Hannibal Directive? And let's get right into it. The Hannibal Directive, also known as the Hannibal Procedure or Hannibal Protocol, it's about as bad as it sounds, by the way, is a controversial military strategy utilized by the Israeli Defense Forces since its introduction in 1986. Its primary aim is to prevent the capture of Israeli soldiers by enemy forces, even if it means risking the lives of those soldiers or civilians in the vicinity. The directive was formulated following the repeated abductions of IDF soldiers in Lebanon and subsequent prisoner exchanges that Israel found politically costly. Um, isn't it amazing how they put the lives of their own people and soldiers that it's politically costly, so they don't even care. Um, I mean, the way how that sounds like they don't even give a shit because it's politically costly, right? Because they got to release, prisoner exchanges. Anyways, key points about the Hannibal Directive. Objective: the directive allows for the use of extreme measures to stop the abduction of Israeli soldiers. According to various interpretations, it sometimes implies that it is preferable for a soldier to be killed rather than captured to avoid strategic and political leverage an enemy could gain through the prisoner negotiations. Again, they hate their enemy so much that they're even willing to sacrifice soldiers and civilians. So they just hate the enemy of getting just one iota or one shred of decency in a prisoner exchange. But anyways, um, it has been applied in several incidents, including during the 2006 Lebanon War, the 2014 Gaza War, and notably during the Hamas-led attack on October 7th, 2023. Actions under this directive have included heavy bombardment of areas where soldiers were last seen, even if that could lead to their death or the death of others nearby. The directive has been highly debated both within Israel and internationally. Critics argue that it violates the international humanitarian law by not distinguishing between combatants and non-combatants, potentially leading to war crimes. There's also internal opposition within the IDF, with some officers and soldiers finding the directive morally and legally questionable. Changes in revocation. Over the years, the directive has been modified. In 2016, it was officially revoked by the IDF Chief of Staff Gadi Eisno. Through new protocols were not publicly detailed. Despite this, there have been allegations of confirmations of its use after its supposed revocation, notably in 2023. Public health and legal security. Numerous reports and investigations, including by Israeli media like Hertz, have shed the light of its implementation, leading to public outcry and calls for accountability, especially when civilian casualties are high, or the alleged use against Israeli civilians allegedly during October 7th. And the handy political thing with this is you can still, under the umbrella of the Hannibal Directive, still put the blame of that, even though it's IDF killing supposed civilians or soldiers of their own. They can still put that under the umbrella of the enemy, because you see, if the enemy wasn't there in the first place, they could still put the moral and political justification of using this heinous Hannibal Directive against their enemies. They can still put the blame on their enemies or whoever's involved. The Hannibal Directive reflects Israel's policy against negotiating with what it considers to be terrorists, aiming to avoid scenarios where soldiers could be used as bargaining chips in prisoner exchanges. However, its application has sparked significant ethical and legal debates concerning the value of human life and the conduct of warfare. And that's the Hannibal Directive in short. Hopefully you found some interesting. And it's not just some conspiracy theory out there. It's not some form of tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. It's a real thing that's existed since 1986. But wait, sports fans, there's more. There's another one, the Samson Protocol. And well, let's read it. So, Israel's Samson option is a term used to describe a strategic deterrence policy where Israel would retaliate with nuclear weapons as a last resort if its existence was threatened by military invasion or destruction. The name derives its biblical story from Samson when he knocked out the pillars and collapsed the building on the Philistines, who in the act of final vengeance brought down the Philistine temple upon itself and his enemies. The option is part of Israel's nuclear strategy, characterized by a policy of deliberate ambiguity of nuclear opacity, where Israel neither confirms nor denies possession of nuclear weapons. It has nuclear weapons. Let's be clear here, allowing it to influence the international perceptions and actions without formally declaring its capabilities. Supposedly, that's why people theorize why JFK got shot. But then again, there's so many other reasons. Him trying to, put the money, the United States dollar back on the silver standard. But deterrent strategy, it is intended to deter attacks by suggesting that overwhelming nuclear retaliation would follow any existential threat to Israel. Yeah, that pretty much do it. This includes threats from both conventional and unconventional nuclear, chemical, biological attacks by Arab nations or other adversaries. So, other adversaries. Historical context, discussions and implicit threats regarding this option date back to the 1960s. Notable mentions during conflicts like the 1967 Six-Day War and the 1973 Yom Kippur War. For example, there were plans during the Six-Day War to potentially detonate a nuclear device as a warning to surrounding states, which that doesn't make any sense. If you have nuclear weapons, why do you need to threaten or test or live fire one of these off? That doesn't make any sense about it. Though these plans were not executed due to Israel's swift victory in 1973, Israel reportedly placed its nuclear forces on alert to influence international support, particularly from the U.S. Nuclear ambiguity. Israel maintains a policy of not publicly acknowledging its nuclear arsenal, which is believed to be the number in the hundreds, providing a strategic ambiguity that enhances deterrence. Implications. The Samson option suggests that Israel would not only target direct enemies, but could potentially strike at the pillars of civilization. So this is also, it implicates the rest of the civilized world, because they decide if they're going to go out, we're going to go down in a nuclear hellfire altogether. That's our allies. That's the money we pay millions of dollars to. Pillars of civilization, including allies. If it is faced with annihilation, boy, isn't that nice? Then everyone gets a nuclear missile. You get a nuclear missile. You get a nuclear missile. Ensuring the mutual destruction as a deterrent against any attempts to obliterate Israel. This strategy has been discussed in various forms, including posts on X, where it is often highlighted as a significant aspect of Israel's security policy, albeit with caution due to speculative and sensitive nature of nuclear threats and policies. However, these discussions reflect persistent tension and strategic considerations in the Middle East's geopolitical landscape. So that's the Hannibal Protocol, the Samson Protocol, and hopefully you learned something. This just put out there because these are very real things, and you can look them up yourselves and you can come to your own conclusions. See you next time. Have a good one. So before I officially sign off, special thank you to the fleet captains, the people who support this channel, their time and money, and special thank you to viewers like you. If you made it this far, you are awesome and you've done enough. But if you want to go the extra mile, there's links in the description down below. That would be cool. If not, don't worry about it, and I'll see you guys next time.